Hey everyone, what's going on? It's Rich. Sorry for the delay there. All right. Let's do. Can everyone hear me? All right. So there's a little bit of yeah, let me sign off and sign back. Right. Thank you. All right. How's everyone doing? It's Rich and Mbariket. Welcome in, guys. So I can't seem to get my Yeti microphone here to work. So we're just going to go with the We're gonna go with the built-in microphone, which isn't really the best quality. So my apologies, guys. Okay. So the reason why I'm doing this video is because I have been getting a lot of questions from YouTube, the WhatsApp group, about what items are admissible, what items can be exported to the United States, what items can't be exported, what are some of the items that are restricted, and what are some of the items that are flat out just banned. So in this particular session, I'm going to break down, this is a Q&A session. I'm going to break down what's allowed, as mentioned, what's restricted, what's flat out banned. So you guys can avoid some of the mistakes that rookie importers and exporters and even experienced importers and exporters face. So staying compliant is really the key thing. If you can stay compliant with what can be brought into the country, exported out of Nigeria, it'll help you save a lot of money and most importantly, a lot of time. And also it'll help you retain your customers, keep them happy so they can keep on doing business with you and ordering from you. This morning, I woke up to a question on WhatsApp. This morning, I woke up to a question on WhatsApp. Good morning to you too, Scripture. That's Nigeria calling me. So I am based in the United States. I'm based in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm in the western part of the country. And one of the things that most of you need to familiarize yourself with is the United States time zone. So we have three main time zones. We have the Pacific Central Time. There's the Central Standard Time, and there's also the Eastern Standard Time. So the Pacific Standard Time is New York, Las Vegas. That's where I am. So right now it's 10 a.m. in Las Vegas. So in Texas it's 12 noon, and so Texas falls in Central Standard Time. And then on the East Coast you have New York, which is 3 hours ahead of the Pacific Standard Time. So if it's 10 o'clock in Vegas where I am, it is 1 p.m. If it's 10 a.m. in Vegas where I am, it's 1 p.m. in New York. And in Central Time, Texas, it's 2 hours ahead of us. So it's noon in Texas right now. The majority of Nigerians are populated in Texas, Baltimore, New York, Philadelphia. We also have a large population of Nigerians in the West Coast, particularly in Los Angeles, California. So keep that in mind as you continue to build your business and you're dealing with buyers or customers from the United States. Just know that we are not all in the same time zone. Okay. The last thing you want is to be calling your customer at 2 o'clock in the morning because you are not aware of the time zone difference. So that is something you want to keep in mind. Compliance is real. Like a lot of people don't really focus on this because it's not really a very sexy topic to talk about. But I'm telling you, in the past 5 years that I've been importing and exporting from Nigeria, I've had success and I've had failures. I've had goods cleared and I've had goods seized because I was not compliant. And that's one of the things that I cover and in my consultations, and I also teach people the importance of just staying compliant. So this morning, I woke up to every day I wake up to something. So I woke up to a question from one of our members on WhatsApp, and they were wondering if items like soya beans, turmeric, ginger, things like that are admissible in the United States. So one thing you have to keep in mind, generally fresh produce, and by fresh produce, I mean vegetables. So if you're looking at like fresh ginger or fresh afang leaves, just anything that's yams, fresh potatoes. The issue that we have in the United States with those sort of things being admissible is what? Refrigeration and food preservation. A lot of the micro exporters in Nigeria don't really have that capability to be able to refrigerate their foods. So for the most part, those sort of goods are not allowed. They are not going to be admissible in the United States unless they are highly, highly refrigerated and well preserved. So you want to, especially if you're starting out, you want to stay away from what I call perishables. Foods that have, or products that have a very, very short shelf life. And also you want to stay away from things that break easily, like glass, just anything that's high risk. You generally want to stay away from those things. So another key thing is, as you continue to grow, you start with small shipments, then the shipments get bigger and bigger. You're going to start appearing on the radar of the FDA. You're also going to appear on the radar of the Customs and Border Patrol, the USDA. And it's a good thing. It's showing that you are growing as a business. You are getting away from those small scale shipments. Maybe you're dealing with family members or you're dealing with a small family that's ordering, and you'll start doing more of a larger scale where you are not reaching out, where you are catering more to like stores and small businesses, people who buy in bulk from you, and they're selling either on their websites or on platforms like e-commerce platforms like Amazon and Walmart. So just keep in mind that as you grow, you are going to start attracting attention, and don't get discouraged by it because it is a good thing. So yeah, it's 6 p.m. in Nigeria. Yeah, because Nigeria right now is 8 hours ahead of the United States. Or well, 8 hours ahead of me in Las Vegas. Okay. If I were in Texas, you will be 6 hours ahead. And if I were in New York, you will be 5 hours ahead, depending on the season. So I want to go over some items, some cultural items that I think you guys are going to enjoy interacting with, that you can export into the United States and profit from the strong dollar market. So today I changed USD today because I have a project going on at 1582. So that's $1 to 1,582 naira, and it fluctuates. I've seen it as high as 1750. Just depends on the time of year. So today I did change some money because I have orders in Nigeria that I'm bringing in. at 1582. So the United States market is a great market for you to grow your business, and also for you to take advantage of the strong USD. Because the thing out here is we do have the buying power out here, and people are looking for Nigerian goods. So I'm gonna give you I brought in some items here that I'm going to show you, and these are things that if you think about it from a logical perspective, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But from a business perspective, it makes so much sense. And I think a lot of people in Nigeria tend to like ignore the basics. Everybody wants to go into sort of like the high level agri-food, agribusiness, and they are missing out on little things that they can earn a profit on. So I'm going to show you some examples. So you look at a fabric like this. This is an Ankara fabric, okay? In and of itself, if you think about it, this is probably imported into Nigeria from countries like India, Pakistan, because Nigeria doesn't really have a robust textile economy. So we tend to buy a lot of our fabrics from abroad, and we bring them into Nigeria. But something like this, textiles, 100. If you just want to, how do I word this? You can't say that this is made in Nigeria because it's more than likely brought in from abroad. But the moment that you turn this raw material into an outfit, then it officially becomes made in Nigeria. So you bring in, and this something you can find this easily at the Dumota market. I mean, they are selling this or Balinde market left and right. There's a lot of textile dealers that deal in African prints. This is very this is subtle compared to some of the African prints that I've seen, but something like this can be transformed into finished goods. So you could sew something like, they call it senator wear in Nigeria, the up and down. You could sew that into up and down, and it's officially a made in Nigeria product. So that is 100% admissible in the United States. You can export that. You can sell it online, or look at online sellers that are currently selling like made in Nigeria or African ready-made fabric, and you could position your product to people like that. So textile is 100% admissible. What's even better than just a raw textile like that is when you convert it into an outfit. I've seen people turn this into like pillowcases. Okay, I've seen like Ankara pillowcases. I've seen Ankara headwear. In 2020, when my dad passed away, I went to Nigeria and I saw a lot of his old wrappers. You know, they call them wrapper in Nigeria. And I'm like, you know what? This is interesting. There's a story behind this. Let me gather them up. And I did. I brought them into the United. Back then, I was selling on eBay. Brought them into the United States, and I kid you not, I sold each one of those wrappers for $100, and they went just like that. So in my old life, I used to be in the fashion industry, but I stopped doing that just because of all of the variables that you have to deal with when it comes to fashion. You got to look at the sizes, you got to look at the fit. While there is profit in fashion, it can get a little bit difficult for you to scale unless you are just a full-blown fashionista. You enjoy dealing with fabrics and dealing with clothing. But we moved away from that because it was becoming more of a headache. We had a lot of returns, and that's why we stopped, because people were returning them not because of the quality or because they didn't like the outfits. They were returning them because they just did not fit. And what are you going to do? It either fits or it doesn't fit. So we ended up getting away from fashion and clothing. But for you that's interested in that sort of industry, then you want to get into fabrics. Ankara. This also, I should say, is protected under AGOA. So you don't have to pay duty in the United States. Textile is part of AGOA, clothing, shoes, those items are also protected under AGOA. So you will pay zero duty and taxes in the United States. So that's just one item that I want to talk about. So since we are talking about fashion, here's another one too: hats. Niger hats are admissible in the United States. This one you can find in Lagos, Obalende Market, Dumota Market in Lagos. It's a lot of Muslims that sell these northern hats. This is a velvet one. This one, when I was bringing these in, I was selling them for what, $50, and I paid like what, 2,000 at the most for it. So just one hat that you could import into the United States or export into the United States, that's admissible 100%. Another one is this. This is the BBO hat, or the Igbo hat. This is also 100% admissible into the United States. Now, this, when I was retailing these, I actually had someone in Akwa Ibom State make this for me from scratch. And I would sell these I was selling these at the time for $45, $50. This is something that you can make in Nigeria easily for 2,000 naira, 3,000 naira at the very most. Again, the reason I stopped dealing with these is also because of fit, because people were returning them, not because they didn't like them, but because it just did not fit their head. So we got away from that. But yes, fashion accessories protected under AGOA. Fashion accessories are admissible into the United States. Cultural items. Again, when I'm telling you that it's the little things that count. These little things, for instance, something like this. Look at that. We grew up on this. This is admissible in the United States. Now, when you are dealing with wood, this is something that you need to consider. There's a form called the Lacey Act. So any wood items that you bring in, if it's a regular wood that is turned into a manufactured good, this is considered a manufactured good, you can bring this in. Now, as long as it's not, if there aren't any carvings, like a face carving on it or animal carvings on it, you don't have to get a museum certificate for it. So the museum certificate is something that's required once you start getting into artwork. I'm going to get into something like that in a second. But if it's just plain like this is something that you can have made. You can market it as a toy, a wooden African toy for kids, or as a home decor item. We use this. This actually, I grew up on this. This was my father's when I was about 11, 12 years old. Was when he bought this. And when he passed away, I just added it to my home and I'm displaying it at my house. I'm not selling this at all, but something like this can be sold in the United States. And it's admissible as long as it doesn't have any face carvings on it or animal prints or anything like that. You could bring them in, and you also don't have to have a museum certificate for something like this. So this is a toy that you could sell in the United States. As I was talking about the Lacey Act, any sort of wood product, and your customs agent or whoever you're dealing with in the United States is going to tell you about this. You have to complete the Lacey Act form. And what that form means is you have to be able to tell them the origin and the species of the wood. The majority of the wood products that we bring into the United States are made from mahogany wood. So that is 100% admissible because it's not an endangered species. It's not an endangered tree. It's generally admissible and generally used in Nigeria for like furnitures, wood carvings and things like that. So mahogany is what you're going to put that information on the Lacey Act. And once the customs agent, they have that information on the Lacey Act, Obviously, it's made in Nigeria. 100% the goods are allowed and admissible in the United States. So as far as the woodwork, let me show you what is admissible, but you're going to need a museum certificate for. So when you're dealing with something like this, we made this in Nigeria for 9,000, 10,000 naira. We are currently selling this right now on Walmart for $100. Let that sink in. 9,000, 10,000 naira manufactured. This is Akwa Ibom mask. We contracted a carver in Akwa Ibom State to make this for us, and we are selling this on Walmart for $100. Now, for this, because it's a carving, it's a face carving, you are going to need to obtain a museum certificate, and you can get this in Lagos. So what happens is when it comes to the museum certificate, it's usually a percentage of the value of the product. So let's say for each one of this, you might have to pay maybe 2,000 or 3,000 naira each one. So let's say your landed cost in the United States is 20,000 naira at $100 a piece. So let's do the math. So 100 times six, I'll just say 1,600 just to get a round number. That is 160,000 naira, equivalent of 160,000 naira for something that you landed at 20,000 naira in the United States. But you're going to need to obtain a